given me for this series and each installment, if I didn't deal with it in a raw and real way, you see. And sometimes when you're confronting things from a place of realness, it's hard. It's hard to receive. It's hard to receive. It's hard to process it because you. And I'm going to talk about that about the issue with this today. It's hard to process things in its realest, if I can say that, form. You know what I'm saying? When it's real and it's raw, it's hard to process it. It's hard to deal with it. But we have to deal with it, and it's okay as it relates to the struggle of dealing with real issues, especially when you have your own view. And this is what I want to talk about this morning. I'm going to teach about the view. I'm going to deal with a topic entitled the view, and I'm going to read. Um, part of the text that we dealt with on Wednesday. Okay, and it starts at the 17th verse, Genesis 12:17, and I'm reading out the Message Bible, and it says that God hit, but God hit Pharaoh hard because of Abram's wife Sarai. Everybody in the palace got seriously sick. Pharaoh called for Abram. This is what he said. What is this that you've done to me? Why didn't you tell me that she's your wife? 8:19 says, why did you say she's my sister so that I'll take her as my wife? Here's your wife back. I got to get her out of my life because she doesn't belong to me. Here's your wife back. Take her and get out. And get out. Pharaoh ordered his men in 20 to get Abram out of the country. They sent him and his wife and everything he owned on their way. Okay. So in 17 it says, but God. And then all of the rest of the text I just read, I want you to understand everything that you see happening after the but God is God's view. Is God's view in response to Abraham's view concerning what he felt he needed to do based on the hard times he was going through that impacted his marriage, right? And what he felt the response of that should be based on his fear of the Egyptians who were finding his wife attractive. He told her to lie, tell them you're my sister because if you do that, then they won't kill me. I'll be all right. Not really considering the kind of impact that was going to have on his wife, Sarai. But it's hard to deal with Sarai as a wife when you view her as a sister. When you view her as a sister, because in his mind, that's what he was thinking. All I have to do is treat her like a sister, even though she's not my wife. I'll view her as a sister. When you're viewing your wife or your spouse as anything other than who they are, it's hard to really treat them based on who they are from an authentic perspective to you, right? So that's where we are with this, right? So I want to use the woman in the New Testament. I want to start with the woman, that woman that was caught in adultery in the New Testament, right? They bring, of course, they just brought the woman, didn't bring the man. That's obvious. That's like a glaring, type of observation of the text. Didn't bring the man, just brought the woman. The view of those who brought the woman to Jesus was that you just stone her because their view was rooted in law, right? So anyone who's caught in the act of adultery, just kill her, stone her, right? Okay. So their view was rooted in the law, right? Jesus's view was rooted in love because obviously he did not capitulate with their view, because if you keep reading the text and how Jesus' view demonstrated his love for her, okay, which supersedes law. Because if it was based on the law, none of us would be saved. None of us would be in the position that we are relationally with God through faith in Jesus Christ. It would, none of us would be able to have a sustainable relationship with God because none of us are perfect, right? And I want you to see this, right? So they picked up their rocks. They were ready to stone this woman. And Jesus said, everyone, I'm paraphrasing, anyone who has never sinned, if you don't have any sin, just go ahead and kill her. Throw the stones. Throw the stones. Because what he's trying to do is let them understand that, yes, you caught it in the act of adultery, but the issue is all of you are sinners. All of you have done something wrong. So drop it. Drop your rocks. Drop it. Drop your view, basically. Drop your view. Drop your view of this woman, because if you're gonna use the lenses of your view to judge her, then you have to see you have to use those same lenses to judge yourself. Right? So drop it. Drop your view. And that's really the hardest thing to do when it comes to, fairly judging everyone, not so much based on a specific sin. All sin is just sin, whether it's adultery, stealing, murder. It's just all of it is sin, and that's the message that Jesus was pretty much promoting, right? So when it was all over, she looked around and he said, "Where's your accuser?" None, because they dropped their view of stoning her. They dropped their view, basically, metaphorically. And he said, "This is the thing." He said, "Go." He didn't say don't. He didn't say go and don't commit adultery anymore. He said, "Go and don't sin no more. Don't sin no more." Right. So everyone who has a view that pretty much condemns others, you need to drop that. Anyone who has a view that is pretty much stoning metaphorically others, you need to drop that view, because you have to use that same view for the things that you have done that's from a general standpoint is just as sinful as the act of adultery. So you have to drop that view, right? Okay. So we're talking about Jesus. Jesus, who has a view concerning adultery, right? Never said it was okay, okay, but he would not allow the people who had their own view, rocks in their hands now, getting ready to kill this woman. He wasn't going to allow their view to be the catalyst for whether or not she would live or die. Uh-uh. He said, because if you stone her, then somebody's going to have to stone you. So drop your view. So Jesus' view of the act of adultery is that it's just sin. It's sin. Adultery is just sin. That's what it is. It's sin, right? And in the end, this lady, okay, was saved by the view of Jesus. Her life was spared because of the view of Jesus. And all of us who are Christians, who are saved, you got to drop your view. Your view cannot contend with the view of Jesus Christ, right? So all sin is just sin, and all of us have come short of the glory of God. So Jesus' view concerning adultery is that it's just sin, is sin, right? So let's stay within the context of adultery. Let's deal with that quick, okay? This is what I want you to see regarding this view piece, right? It's like when you have a personal take, regarding your moral view, contextually, okay, talking about adultery, of the act of adultery, you may experience what you may, I'm sorry, exercise, I'm sorry, you may exercise what freedom or liberality you feel you have to relabel its authentic description to reflect your own view, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing, right? Car, automobile, same thing. It's the same thing. It's a means of transportation generally, but you can call it car, you can call it automobile, but it's the same thing, right? And so let's deal with this. This is going to be interesting. Adultery, entanglement, same thing. It's the same thing, right? And we understand where this word entanglement has come from. Entanglement. Let me tell you what entanglement is, right? And okay, I'll go ahead and say this is my view, but my view is kind of rooted in my intro, right? In terms of this lady who was caught in adultery, and Jesus' view that prevailed and saved her life, right? Entanglement, this is what entanglement is, right? Entanglement to me, it has like an innocent tone to it, right? So it's more it's a more innocent version of its authentic label, which is adultery, basically, right? And I want to tell you how it's presented this way because it's really based on the power of the narrative. It's about the power of the narrative. Okay, so most people are very controlling when it comes to their narrative, right? Okay, and the narrative comes into play when someone is attempting to get you to see something the way they view it, not the way I view it, not the way that God view it, not the way that you view it, but the way they view it, because they have the power and the influence to do so, right? Okay, I love Jada and I love Will as entertainers. I love them, right? Grew up watching them. So it's no stone. I'm not throwing rocks. I'm not throwing stones. I'm just having a conversation because this word was put out there and everybody's talking about it. And I just want to. It's real simple though. It's not. It's really not deep, right? So this is Jada's view. It's just her view of her involvement with somebody outside of her marriage, and she would like us. Hear me good. She would like us, everybody who viewed in, I mean, over 30 million people, she would like us to label it an entanglement because this description reflects her view, which is rooted in her narrative, right? So she gets to, you know, promote her narrative to millions and millions of people sitting right at a red table between herself and her husband. No stones, no condemnation. It's not about that. It's about a conversation, right? So the only reason we're hearing so much about the label, the label, let me put it this way, of entanglement in the context of the act of adultery is because of the power influence is because of the power and influence of Jada Smith and Will Smith. They just have power. They have the power and they have influence, right? Okay, that's what it's all about, and that's why you hear this word entanglement. Everybody's on entanglement. Why? Because of the interest. Everybody being interested in um, Jada's view regarding, what happened in which they were willing to share with the world regarding the infidelity that took place in their marriage. Now, you might call it an open marriage. Again, that's a relabeling. It's really just a marriage. You can call it open. You can call it closed. It's still a marriage. It's still a marriage. You know. But when you relabel it, you want to relabel that particular word, um, and by altering its authentic description to really, you know, support your narrative. You see, to me, it's no such thing as, and maybe we'll get into it today because my time is running out. But I want to get to a point. Let me get to a point, and I'll deal with this next week if we have Bible class on Tuesday. Let me get to a point because I have a few minutes before I see B. Right? So I want you to look at Abram's view and look at his narrative. He said, listen, okay, because you got to remember, Sarai cannot make Abram stay with her. So he said, when we get to Egypt, listen, say that you're my sister, and I'll be good. I don't know how that's going to work for you, but this is my narrative. When we get there, I want you to, say you're my sister, and, I'm good, right? The Pharaoh takes his wife. They're separated now. Because Sarai cannot make Abram stay with her. But his narrative is that this is how we do it. You my sister, cool. Abram is cool. But God, but God, but God. We see Abram's narrative, but God kicks in. You see? But God in 17, his narrative, his view concerning the view of Abram, okay, is exposed in 17. And God hit Pharaoh hard because of what? Abram's wife, Sarah. The only reason Sarah is with Pharaoh is because she's a victim of his view. She's a victim of his view. And she can't make Abram see it any other way than his view and his narrative, but God. but God. But God. He messed up. He made everybody sick in Pharaoh's palace. Pharaoh called Abram, said, "Come get your wife out of here, because your narrative has caused my whole, and your view has caused my whole house to be ill. My whole palace is ill because we are being victimized by your view. Get her out of here because she's your wife. You told me she was your sister, but she's your wife." And he put Pharaoh, he put Sarai, and everything that he owned out, not just out of the palace, but out of the country. Why? Because everybody, okay, that bought into the narrative that Abram put out there were victimized by it. But God, but God. God will free you from narratives that are not in the best interest of your life. That's why I want you to know, I hear a whole lot of stuff. That's why, listen, and my time is up. I got to go. But this is why we see what's going on in the White House. See, narratives and views, it doesn't have to be authentic and true. It's really about what you can get a person to believe. You see, only reason Pharaoh did what he did is because he believed what Abram said. He brought into his view. But God, but God. See, if God would have went with the view of the enemy concerning your life, do you know where you would be today? Got you. I have 2 minutes. I gotta go. But God said, "I love the world. I so love it that I gave my son for it, and whoever believes on him shall not perish, but have everlasting life." Okay? God's view is in your best interest. Everyone who needs prayer today, YCB, I want you to call 301-200-1615. We're here to help you. God's view will bring you out of that situation you're in Jesus' name. God bless you. I'll talk to you next week. All right, so I can't see comments, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. This entanglement thing, the reason why we're talking about the entanglement is because you know, Jada, and I don't know them. I just know them as entertainers. So, no stones, no condemnation, not from me, not from me, and it shouldn't come from nobody. You see what I'm saying? Because somebody knows exactly what that feels like when people have certain views concerning maybe some of the indiscretions that you may have been involved in. But the problem I have is when you classify sin as this is a big sin, this is a little sin. No, Jesus said, "Listen, go and sin no more. Just don't sin no more." He didn't say don't commit adultery no more, right? And his narrative, his view saved her life. Because if it was based on the view and the narratives of the people who caught her, she would have died. But he made them drop them rocks, drop that view, because if you're going to kill her, if we're just talking about sin, period, entanglement, adultery, to God, it's just sin. You can call it infidelity, you can call it whatever you want it. It's just sin. It's just sin. And I want everybody who's listening to me, if you are sinless, you've never done anything in your life, right now you're just so perfect, go ahead and throw the stone at the screen. You can just kill me, crush me if you want to. See, but you have to understand you're victimizing. See, I become a victim of your view. You see, but you have to remember, soon as you hit me in the head with that stone, pick up one more for yourself, because you had to, yeah, you have to hit yourself. Because we're not just talking about adultery, we're not talking about cheating, we're talking about sin. Sin. That's what we're talking about. You see? So whether you call it entanglement, whether you call it adultery, depending on your view, it's the same thing. Car, automobile, same thing. House, home, same thing. It's the same thing. You see? Okay. This is what I'm trying to teach you. So with this entanglement thing, people are talking about it all over the world. Why? Because of power influence. Jada is trying to, and I get it. Will, he's sitting there, just trying to, you know, advance and raise and highlight their narrative. Because people can have, different opinions about what they feel actually went on. I really don't get into that. Listen, let me tell you where I am right now. I don't. I don't. I try. I'm not trying to bash nobody. I'm not trying to judge nobody. God knows. I've done those things before. That stuff will hit you back. By the time that stuff come back on you, you wish you would have never had no opinion, no judgment about nothing. The only because you know, you know, God knows where you are in the area of your faults and your flaws, and all of us have them. All of us have them. It's amazing. I've been through this. I have people lied on me, said this, and some stuff, I have done, and I'm not proud of it. Some stuff was just straight lies. I don't know where that stuff came from. I already got to deal with the stuff I did that I got to deal with. But then when people lie on you, and then people start spreading it, and people looking at you all funny, and based on a lie, that's grueling to deal with. That's just, but at 52 now, I understand what life is all about. And people just gonna do what they're gonna do. You just can't. But you're free by your own narrative. You're free by your view that's in alignment with God. That's why. Listen, hear me before I let you go. I don't know who's listening to me. And you've been victimized by somebody's view, victimized by somebody's narrative that has nothing to do with your truth. You understand? God can free you from that. God can free people. You know what I'm saying? God can free you from that. God has a view concerning your life. I mean, you have to drop yours, drop them rocks. You got to drop your own view, how you see yourself. You got to drop your own view and then buy into the view. Because this lady was dead wrong now. The lady who committed adultery, but the man was wrong as well. But they only brought the woman. She was wrong, dead wrong. But the love that Jesus had for this woman, he said, you need another view. You need to connect to another view regarding your life. Because if you could live the rest of your life connected to a view that is pretty much uh, a view of discrimination and isolation just based on your particular sin, and everybody who's viewing you is not looking at their own, then you're gonna be victimized for the rest of your life. You see? So when you pick up God's word, what you see is God's view concerning not just like you're right, but you're wrong. You're wrong. And if you're listening to me, I want you to know I'm a bishop, I'm a pastor, but I know I haven't been right all my life. Even as a bishop, I've been wrong. I know that. The only thing that gives me another chance is God's view. Robinson, just don't do it no more. Don't sin no more. Don't do it no more. And that's the challenge. That would be the challenge for the woman, is to not do it no more, not sin no more. You see? But I thank God because in the scripture, he's not trying to relabel what she did so it can sound innocent or have an innocent tone. No, the lady committed adultery. You got to call it what it is. You see? So what I'm telling you, we're going to be wrong. We're not going to get it right. But the only thing that really can help you recover and become better based on some of the things that you've done, okay? Even in the family, you need to tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow, you got to tune in tomorrow. Because see, one of the things I want to do, I want to stop these patterns that's happening within families. I want to bring those things to an end and provide a new narrative for your family. But you have to be open and you have to be honest, because you can't be walking around, in a family unit as if you have never done anything. You're just so perfect. You're not fooling me. You're not. In fact, you ain't fooling God. All of us have done some things, but you have to make sure that you're transparent as much as you can be. I understand some things you may not be able to discuss. There's some things are between you and God. I understand that. Some things you just can't believe you've done. You can't believe you made it. You can't believe you just did it. You just can't believe it. You see, but believe it. Because if you have engaged in some things that you're not proud of, you're not by yourself. All of us have done these things. All have sinned and have come short. Right? Okay? But you got to turn the page. You just can't, you understand? The best thing that them people did, the best thing that them people who have caught that woman in adultery did is is take her to Jesus. That was the best thing they did. When they took that woman to Jesus, that was the best thing that they could have done. And that's what I'm doing today. I'm actually just take everything that you've ever done, everything that you wish you'd never done, everything you're not proud of, all your flaws, just take it to Jesus. Give it to Jesus. He loves you. He loves you. You see, and he has a narrative and a view for your life that will give you another chance to get it right. You see, don't listen. I'm closing after this. I will never let nobody belittle me to the extent that I feel like my mistake is worse than their mistake. No way, no way, no way. You can judge me. You ain't gonna tell me. You cannot convince me that my mistake is worse than your mistakes. My sins or my shortcomings are worse. No, because you know what, Jesus, why I'm not going to believe that? Because Jesus' view of everything that we've done, I don't care how you label it, it's just, I mean, everything we've done that's not congruent or in alignment with the standards of the word, all of it is just sin. That's why he came here to die for that stuff. And if he died for it, you don't have to live with it. If he died for it, you don't have to live with this stuff, right? You can ask God to give you the power, right, to provide you the wherewithal to live a life that's in alignment with standards. Are you going to be perfect? No, but when you miss it, acknowledge your faults to God, and then do better. Do better, and try not to be a repeat offender. And sometimes you are, and sometimes you find yourself doing things you told God you would never do again. And listen, don't quit, don't stop, keep going. Get up, wipe dust off your feet, and wipe and clean yourself off. Stand up straight. Say, I'm going at this thing again. I'm gonna keep doing what I need to do to perfect who I am as a child of God. All right, and especially within the family, because you have people who are depending on your example. Okay, to give them an opportunity to pattern themselves out after somebody that would allow their lives to really promote and project that which is pleasing in God's sight. And all this is based on God's view, Jesus' view, not mine, not yours, Jesus' view. All right. So it's all about the view. All right. I want you to tune in tomorrow because we're going to talk about some very important things. So I thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something this morning. Share, tag, tell everybody about it, because I believe it would be a benefit to all who would just lend their ears to what I believe God is wanting us to say, so we can understand. Listen, God is a God who loves us, and his view regarding us is really rooted in love. And you want to know his narrative concerning our lives? Read the Bible. That's his narrative. God so loved the world, gave his only begotten Son. Whosoever believeth on him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for your time. God bless you all. I did read some of the comments. I think one comment was, how did I believe that I think it was Minister Reggie who said, uh, why wasn't Abram held accountable? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's coming. Sometimes God doesn't hold people accountable right away. Stay tuned. I'll let you know exactly how it went down. Okay, just stay tuned. It's coming. You'll find out. All right. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for your time. May the Lord keep you is my prayer. I love every last one of you. And please adopt the view of God concerning your life, because his view is rooted in his love for you. God bless you. Bye-bye.